Hey folks, welcome to Transplant Helper today. My name is Jim Burrell. Today I'm going to be answering a viewer's question which comes to me from an entirely different part of the transplant world than it typically does. And what I mean by that, it's not that today's question comes from Africa, China, Asia, or Australia versus the United States, but that today's question does not come from a transplant patient. As a matter of fact, at this point right now, this person is not even directly connected with a transplant life. But nonetheless, she had a question. She sent it to me in an email just a few days ago, and I thought I would sit down and answer it. So let me read the question. You'll understand who this person is and probably then why I'm answering her question. She starts out and she said, Jim, I stumbled across your YouTube channel just a few days ago, and I continue to watch the videos and have a greater appreciation for those who live as transplant recipients. I am not a transplant patient myself. However, my best friend is one. She's currently listed for a heart transplant in the state of Missouri. She goes on to add to that. She said, Jim, she's recently asked me to become her caregiver after transplant. I kind of have an idea what that means, but at the same time, I'd like to do the best that I can. So do you have any tips or suggestions you can offer to make me a better caregiver when her blessing comes? Well, Karen, I appreciate your email, and yes, as you could assume, I've got something to say about this. It may not be exactly what you wanted to hear, but I do have some things to say because I really appreciate your being willing even to be her caregiver. And that's kind of the way I'm going to kick this thing off, is by telling you that being a caregiver is going to take two things out of you above everything else. And the very first thing of that is it's going to take sacrifice. You're going to have to give up a lot to be your best friend's caregiver. Now, hopefully you probably already understand that, but honestly, once you become her caregiver after the transplant occurs, she's going to need you to be there with her 24/7 for weeks and possibly even months. So for you to give your time up to do that is certainly a sacrifice. And one of the best tips I can give you in behind that is to make sure that even though you may be her sole and primary caregiver, make sure you're not her only caregiver. You need to make yourself have a backup. So whether it's someone she knows directly or someone you know directly, so therefore you're more mutual friends, you need to get a hold of someone and say, hey, there may be times when I'm down, when I'm not able to be there every waking moment, and so I need you to be my backup. And get that straight with her in the front, obviously, but be sure that you have some sort of backup. So first of all, you need to be sacrificial. In the second case, you need to be supportive, and that's why I really want to expand on this today, and that is you're going to have to be there to support your friend in a huge way post-transplant. So let me list 3 ways that you can support her and really give her the very best care that she could ever want and that she ever deserved. Okay, number 1, you need to be there to be supportive intellectually. And what I mean by that is you've got to be the brains of this operation for a little while. Certainly post-transplant of any kind, but especially heart transplant, I can speak for my own self and from my experiences. Certainly heart transplant can take a toll on you intellectually. That is, some of the medications, especially pain medications, that she's more than likely going to be on for a few days or even a few weeks are going to take a toll, and she needs someone there beside her during all those clinic visits, all those interactions with the doctor, someone who can take this information in, process it, and then turn around and spit it back out to her. Because there may be times when she's groggy or drowsy or just out of it when she's not going to be able to get that information for herself. Now that's where you being intellectually ready is going to make a big deal or make a big difference in this case. And I encourage you that even though this is not you, and I know you'll be willing to do this, but even though this is not you, that you need to basically get on your computer, like mine's right behind me here, get on your computer, get on Google, get on YouTube, which you've already done obviously, but get on Google, on YouTube, whatever, and start right now to research, number 1, her condition she has currently, if you know what that is or if you can find out. And then number 2, start researching transplant itself. Watch all the videos you can, whether mine or not. Watch all the videos you can. Read all the articles you can. Start taking in information and get yourself prepared so that when you're in the doctor's office with her and the doctor's speaking that lingo that none of us really understand, For a moment in time, maybe you will. Maybe you'll recognize some of those big words, some of those terms. You'll recognize some of the things they're talking about, and then you can in turn process that. And like I say, go ahead and help your friend by interpreting, or at least once you get home, maybe from those visits, turning around, and when she has that look about herself like, hey, what just happened? You can say, hey, here's what the doctor said. Here's what he or she was talking about, and here's what he wants you to do. So be there for her intellectually. In the next place, be there with her certainly in the major one, which is the same, physically. She is going to need you to be there with her, as I said already, every waking hour, nearly 24 hours a day for several weeks or even months. And so if you're there for her like that, then you can obviously jump to the conclusion that she's going to need you to do an awful lot for her. Now, we hope that she'll bounce back from transplant very quickly, that she'll be up and at 'em, back on her feet, back to going about doing her normal routines every day and such. But at the same time, in case she's not, you need to be prepared physically to help her out. And that's because she's going to need a lot of help, whether it's cooking meals, whether it's taking her physically to the clinic visits, whether it's picking up her medication, sorting her medication, helping her dress, helping her bathe, things like that. That's the type of things that caregivers have to do physically, and that is a huge, huge help. Just small work around the house, picking up clothes, washing clothes, picking up stuff out of the floor, washing dishes, all those things are going to help because physically they're going to need a lot. So help her out in the physical realm. So not only intellectually and physically, but here's another one that's sometimes often overlooked. Be there for her emotionally. Emotionally. It's a big, big thing to be there for someone emotionally post-transplant, because I'll be honest with you, and I've had programs on this before. If you've not already seen it, the emotional experience I'll link to here as well as in the show notes below is a very informative program, at least that I produce, and there are others out there that go through the basic emotions that we all go through post-transplant, whether it be anger or fear or joy or apprehensiveness, you name it. I think there are 24, 25 on that program that I discussed. That's the type of things that she's going to be going through. And so she's going to have some definite ups as if she's high on the top of the mountain, and then some very lows like she's hit rock bottom in the valley. And if you're there for her, ready for her to have a shoulder to cry on or someone to laugh with, that's what she's going to need as much as anything. And try to be understanding, because some of the medications she's going to be on, particularly that prednisone or that steroid, are really going to make her emotions all over the place. She may be laughing with you one moment, screaming at you the next, and crying in the floor, balled up like an infant before you know it. So just be ready. I don't want to scare you, and you know better probably, but nonetheless, be ready for those times when they come. And let me say again, if you're planning to be this caregiver like you are, Karen, like anyone else who may be watching the program, know, yes, it is a tremendous, tremendous responsibility as far as the sacrifices you put forth and as far as the services you put forth and such as that. You're going to be a huge supporter in her life. As a matter of fact, I think many who watch this program on a regular basis would agree with me. Above the need for your surgeon, which you've had, above the need for your doctors, which you have, your coordinators, all these people that affect your transplant life, probably above all of those people, your caregiver is number one. My caregiver happens to be my wife, secondarily my mother, and a few others in life. But hey, those people were and continue to be invaluable to me as a transplant patient. So anytime that you can help out, I really appreciate it. So thank you, Karen, for agreeing to be your friend's caregiver. I'll be praying that a transplant comes sooner rather than later, and that things are a tremendous success. And then you do your part, like I say, intellectually, physically, and emotionally to be there for her. Now, if you've got someone in your life who is your caregiver or who possibly would be one day, I encourage you to share out this video. Let them take view of it, and I'll explain things just like I have to you. Hopefully, that's been sufficient. Now, I hope to make more programs about the caregiver itself a little bit later, but simply this is what I have for today. So until next time, stay stronger, friends.